Hi guys, how's it? In the name of Christ, it's your girl Cranky. I hope you're good. So there's a power cut currently, and goodness, I can't deal. Hey, they gave us a break for like a good 25 seconds. I was like literally counting, and now we're like back to square minus 28, because in South Africa there is no one. Okay, like this has been going on for literally too long, and because there's a power cut and I don't want to be wallowing in my thoughts, I don't want to be drowning in my imaginations, we come here and we chat. Even though I am literally violently backlogged, you know, as in with an uppercut and a punch and everything. I need to sit better. But now I'm exposing you to this lackluster like situation down there. I didn't even know where to put my phone. It's so far away. But I don't have a stand. Like, this is not the car that I usually come from that makes it possible for me to record at any given random angle. So that for me is like, hey, let's just deal with that. So hi there, I hope you can see me. If you can't see me, then I'm sorry, at least you can hear me. And well, say hello to the socks. I don't want you saying hello to those socks. They're nasty. I'm not comfortable sitting like this, but I'm gonna sit like this because I want to chill, you know. I want to like recline, I want to talk, but when I do that it gets all dingy, it gets all dark. Guys, we're gonna talk about what's sitting on my heart that's basically made me very macabre, like super sad, as in out of here, out of this world, like I'm a drop dead type stuff. I want to talk about when people go out of their way to break you using other people. I want to talk to women who are slightly older. In other words, you've gone past, say, the age of 35, and you're waiting on the Lord for a husband, you're waiting on the Lord for children, you're waiting on the Lord for perhaps certain breakthroughs in your life that are of a career nature, material nature, like you are trying to start a business and it's not quite picking up. You hoped to be, sorry, I'm getting rid of like excess lipstick, like an entrepreneur, like you hoped to get your business off the ground by 30 or 32 and you're now like hitting 36 and it hasn't gotten off the ground yet. I'm speaking to especially women who, for instance, let's say you already had a job in corporate. You presently have a job in corporate, but you know, and you've always known ever since you were like 2 years old, because you were that smart, you knew stuff when you were 2, that you did not want to work for the rest of your life for somebody. You did not want to be an employee. You wanted to be an employer yourself. So as soon as you worked your first job in corporate, you knew that you were using that job to gain skills, experience, to also gain networks, people with whom you can bring into your business, your future, and to also raise funds, like basically capital for your business. But you knew you wanted a business. Woo, coffee, and it's got cayenne pepper, y'all. Anyway, yeah, you knew that this is what you wanted, but life did not quite work out that way, and you knew that you wanted this by the age, like before 30. You were like, before the age of 30, I need to be running my own concern. And here it is that you're like 34, 35, and it's still really hard knock. I'm speaking to women like those in a lot of careers. I'm also speaking to women like those in a lot of just desire, like the things that we desire a lot as women generally. Husbands, children, all that jazz. We all know that in the 21st century, everybody's getting married later, and there is quite a horrible statistic in terms of marriage period, especially in the Black community. They don't marry us for whatever reason, and we're not going to get into a discussion about men right now, but we're going to get into a discussion about women who are struggling. I'm talking to those ladies, okay, because I am one of them. I wanted my own going concern. I wanted to start a consultancy firm of some sort where I would be giving advice, sort of kind of like along the track of management consultancy. I wanted to improve business processes for organizations. I imagined myself very innovative in that regard. I think I've got a way about improving systems and processes, ways of I've got a very efficient mindset. I know how to like cut out fat and lean up stuff, like generally in whatever regard, like be it in a house, be it in a kiddies party, be it a baby shower, be it even a business. And when I got to corporate, I always used to find these inefficiencies, funny little bobbies that I would pick up in the business that I was working for, that I was like, but we can do without this, we can do without it, like how about we lean this up? But because I was young and I was on the come up, it was very difficult to get myself heard. And the amount of competition, I'm from South Africa, it's ugly. The amount of competition among especially women in corporate and the misogyny in the men is so through the roof that when you give your opinion to a man, they will just brush it off as whatever, a woman is talking. And if you give it to a woman, they will like bite their fingernails and want to, and like literally have the shakes, a whole bunch of anxiety all up in your grill, smile in your face, act as if though they support your idea, and then next time you talk about it, they act as if though they've got amnesia, like selective hearing. Nobody pushes your agenda. So I could not get anything done. The only way that you could successfully get anything done was if in and of yourself you made it into like a management position, an upper middle management position, and within this upper middle management position you had clout and leg room leeway enabled you by your boss to make business changes, decisions that will be effected. Why? Because now you're boss lady. But from a position, a vantage point where you're still like in a position to rather give advice or rather put a suggestion forward, from there you can forget about it, especially when you're young, especially when you're on the come up, especially when you're black, especially when you're a woman, especially if as well maybe you got something going for yourself, like you're pretty or whatever. Just on envy alone, you will be ignored like you're not that smart, like as if though what it is that got you interviewed in the first place doesn't matter anymore, got you that job in the first place doesn't matter anymore. Those are the disquieting things that happen with young black women. I lost my whole career, everything, at the age of 29, and when I was 29 I was like literally 2 seconds away from that upper middle management job. I was a program manager, right? But I was within a matrix organization, so no one actually directly reported into me as boss lady, but they did report into my program and into my projects. So I got a lot of attitude on the ground because people imagine that I'm not their line boss, so they can just ignore me. I, however, was in like a matter of a year or two, would have found myself finally able to change things as I desire, because I would be boss lady now. Never got there because everybody pulled the rug from underneath my feet. So all my innovative ideas and my ideals and the hopes that I had for the future were just swept away by a wild tsunami of envy, jealousy mixed with Christian persecution. And 8 years down the line, I still am nowhere. I have lost everything. I have nowhere to look, nothing to do, and my family members don't care. They put me in this position, frankly, so it is no wonder they don't care. So I'm nobody today, at least according to the standards of this world. My brains have been put in an oven and they are being dried, basically wasted, and I have to just watch the clock ticking and observe everything basically lose its luster due to nothing but envy. And that's what people are doing. Like, they're just keeping me stagnated. Not only did I lose my desires for starting a business, I wanted to branch out of corporate and start a management consulting firm alongside a myriad of other things that are linked to my creative side. I'm a writer, so I was going to write, blog. I'm creative generally, so I would have had a very thriving social media lifestyle that would have been monetized. I would have been an influencer, if you know what I mean. I would have been a lifestyle guru, like I would have been a career guru. I would have been, you get my point. And all that was taken away from me. Okay, I came to Christ at the age of 26 and a half, and I was already thriving when I came to Christ, and I continue to thrive. And the business ethic or the work ethic that was instilled in me when I came to Christ improved even the way that I did my job. The Bible says that whatever you do, work heartily as unto the Lord. So as soon as I came to Christ, I got even better at what I did because I became more hardworking. And then the rug was pulled from underneath my feet. Everything that came with my desires. So those were my hopes and ideals in not marriage. Not marriage. What is this? Career. But of course, I also wanted to get married. I wanted children, lots of them. Ever since I was very young, I've always had this number 7. For me, it was like big, fat, chunky, lucky number 7, or let's just call it blessed number 7. I wanted 7 children, and I wanted to pop all of them out of my womb, whether or not they came in twins or triplets or 7 whole pregnancies. I wanted that, and it's the reason also why I wanted to start a business, so I could have leisure and freedom to be pregnant all 9 months and take all 9 months off. I never wanted to be one of those waddling duckies, heavily pregnant women in corporate walking up and down telling people what's going on. I wanted a business so I could have the leg room to be a good wife and a good mom. I wanted it all, basically. I knew that if I had a business, I could decide to either stop working or carry on working, delegate a whole bunch of tasks to people, and chill. I wanted to have lots and lots of time for children and a husband, a home, basically. Yeah, so a stay-at-home mom and a stay-at-home wife, but that also is businessy. Like the Proverbs 31 lady who considers a field and then buys it. Yeah, I wanted that, and I sought the Lord's face for it. And then I was entered into my 30s in a lot of war. I was fighting a massive case that I obviously lost because I had no resources against my organization that really did me dirty. It's another story for another day, that. And then I had to watch TikTok 8 of the coming years of my 30s just get withered away. Sand eroding like sandy soil in the desert. Do you understand? And with it left my fertility, left my viability for being a wife, left my viability or credibility in the business arena. If I were to start a business now, who in the world is going to want to trust me as the service provider? I have no reliable references, no backup, no clout. I don't have clout. What I'm trying to say is I don't have clout, and so I can forget about it. Therefore, my intelligence is irrelevant at this point, and so too is my beauty also irrelevant, because apparently when you get to a certain age, men are like, whatever, I can get a 24-year-old, and my womb is apparently geriatric, and so therefore I am likely to have difficulty either in conceiving or the pregnancy itself or bringing forth a healthy baby because of my age. I never intended to freeze my eggs because I just thought that I was going to be having those babies while they were still viable. So and even if I had frozen my eggs, I lost money, so I wouldn't have been able to continue to pay the cryopreservation place. So nothing at all in my life worked out. I was thrown into that obscurity, and now every last dream I've ever had, I lost it. Now, the people who put me in a position to struggle like this, or who have watched me, either by omission or commission, did they do this to me, were envious of me. And so because of their envy, and because of having observed the former prosperity I had, the credentials I would ultimately gain later on, because they saw that my future was, how can I explain this to you guys? You know, I did well very young. I am a beautiful woman. This is not to gloat. I'm getting to a point. I'm a beautiful woman. I'm tall. I'm slender. I have got, what do you call this? Intelligence also running for me. And I'm hardworking. I have done well for myself. And those who were watching me in my life that I trusted and loved were low-key jealous. But who does not have somebody that's jealous against them? What's problematic is when people take jealousy to some crazy heights. Okay? And so when everything in my life fell apart, people who were observing me grow the way that I was growing, looking good while also growing. It's like I was doing well and I looked good doing it. They were like, whatever. When they watched, when my life started to fall, when my life fell apart, they literally stood back on some, like, you know, when you laugh at a person's suffering. I could not catch a break. Nobody had mercy on me. Nobody had compassion. I was not a vixen. I've never been a vixen. I was not a mean girl. I did not take pride in bringing people low. I was actually very sweet. So much so was I sweet that one guy told me that I am basically a doormat and anybody can hurt me and I will be blown away by the wind. He told me that I am so weak and so like I look like I'm so fluffy, the way I was so sweet, that anybody can just walk up and be like, and I would fall to pieces, be blown away. He insulted me. Basically, he told me I didn't have strength enough to endure insults or sorrow or hardship in life. Well, now he knows differently. If at all he's watching me among the people who did break me. But that guy only came up with that conclusion about me as he was just scanning my life based on how sweet I was. I just never fought with people. I never backbit. I was never the kind of person to raise my voice. I was always the sweet type girl. Yeah, so I did not have this coming because I had burnt any bridges, hurt anybody, made anyone feel unimportant, unimpressive because of what I said. No, never. I was never that girl. I couldn't get into a confrontation. I've never had a single physical fight in my life, other than with my older sister when we were kids. But I don't fight. And when it comes to arguing, I get stressed out very quickly, and what I do is walk away. I always storm off, and that's all I do. I don't continue to argue. Do you understand? And if the person with whom I'm arguing comes back tomorrow and talks to me normally, it'll be as if though the argument never happened at all. I've always been malleable like that when it came to apologies. Basically magnanimity. I've always been magnanimous. Just water under the bridge. Hence why I never had enemies. I literally never had enemies before now. The enemies I have only made themselves enemies of me because they sabotaged my life. Anyway, so for everybody around me to just watch me fall like that with a thud, like from a skyscraper getting pushed off, and they just like, And all the way in the run up to me landing, they could have hooked up an inflatable sort of kind of like shock absorbing balloon on the floor. They could have tried to catch me midway using their helicopters. They could have thrown me a life buoy. They could have put on me like bouncy suit. Literally, they had so much time to help. So much time to help, so much, and they just stood back. Literally, they all just stood back and they watched me, and that was inspired by nothing but envy. The Bible says anger is overwhelming and fury is a flood, but who can stand before jealousy? Every last one of my friends and family members, including my mother and my immediate sisters, watched me. And even after landing with a thud and my bones being crushed, they still stood there and did not call the paramedics. They did not try to pick my body up from the pavement. Nothing. They just left me there to have crowds gather around my cadaver and basically be like, oh my goodness, what happened? Yar, a woman has fallen to her demise. No ambulances, sirens came, no coroners, nothing. I was left there like a carcass, like the carcass of an animal on the side of the road that nobody cares to even call the local municipality to come and collect because it's not a human being. When a person dies, a human being, when they die, ambulances, coroners come and they pick up their body because it's very grieving to watch a dead body just stay there dead, especially when you're not in the middle of a war, right? So people always deal with human bodies quickly, right? I just recently found out that, you know, that drying up lake called Lake Mead in the United States, they have been finding dead bodies there. Now that it's drying up, you know, the water levels are going down and they keep on discovering these late people that died, however it is that might have happened, whatever it is that might have happened that tragically took their lives away, they drowned or whatever. Yeah, okay. However, because they were people, they couldn't just be like, oh, it's been dead for a minute and it's only flesh and bones now, plus it's been eaten by some fishies, and it was a human being. So they did the forensics, they did the autopsies, they put it in a mortuary, they contacted the family, and the families then had funerals because it's a human being. That is how important, that is how meaningful a human life is. Do you understand that even if it's been dead for a minute and all that there is literally bones, nothing but bones, unidentifiable other than through whatever technologies that might be used in order to discover who it is that we're dealing with here, people still become honorable in finding a cadaver. Well, I have been treated much like the carcass of a dead animal. If you were to find the bones of a shark in the water, in water levels that are receding, or a cow that was eaten by a crocodile drinking water there, or a hippo, you're not going to be like, oh my goodness, hippo's dead, how about we collect its bones, its remains? No, you're not going to do that. You're just going to be like, oh, I found the remains of a hippopotamus. If at all it is an important enough animal or an extinct one, maybe you might get a couple of archaeologists at that site, but for the better part of the time, people just walk past carcasses of animals. And I've been walked by like I'm a carcass of an animal after losing everything. Now, I was this very thriving woman. I had everything going for myself, beautiful. I was literally about to go and marry the best guy. I would have married the best guy. I would have had the cutest kids. I would have taken them to the best of schools. That woman with that kind of future. All of my friends and family members watched me not only die, but they also allowed people to watch me waste. And all these people, all they could ask was, whose daughter is she? What is she doing? And based on the way that my family members just looked at me get consumed by scavengers on the side of the road as a carcass, based on the apathy of my family, everybody else then was apathetic. It's almost as if they were like, if her own mom doesn't care, then why should I care? People imagine that it was normal for me to be left in this state because they couldn't understand why everyone in my life was leaving me. You know, one of those the matters of other people, I'm not going to get involved in them. People did that. They knew that I was just left there, but because they lacked context and understanding as to what happened, they didn't even offer a hand of help. To them, it was like her own family members know why she's left like this. Basically, I was called guilty, even though I was innocent. Guilty before being proven innocent. And there are people who are like that in this world, who are such derelicts, such miscreants, like they've been such big problems in their families that they're not just left to live out the rest of their lives. Whether they live or they die, family members are like, we've tried, because they're junkies, they're drug addicts, they are criminals, they're gangsters, and nobody can counsel them differently. I have been treated like a junkie, a drug addict, a gangster, a person that has just got such a a worthless lifestyle that despite all manner and kinds of interventions, nothing has helped. And so everybody's just watching me because she's chosen that life for herself. I'm being looked at that way. If like strangers like glide by my situation, greet and move on, but nobody concerns themselves over why I'm sitting here going nowhere because of the way that my family members are so blasé. They're so nonchalant about me that they cause everybody else to second guess basically the confusion of my stagnancy. Everything that causes people to crease their foreheads, they eventually smooth out their faces, because if a mom is doing it, then there must be a reason. So I would die with my family members knowing exactly what is the truth about me, but everybody else being like, I guess the girl that was a deadbeat loser sitting around doing nothing has died now. There would be no sorrow in anybody, not too extreme a sorrow level. My obituary would be menacing. It would be embarrassing. Basically, I would be this person with an emptiness from like a particular time up until that time I died, to a point where my funeral would basically be embarrassing because I would have done nothing for the last 10 years or before I died. My whole family and friends would have attended that kind of funeral and acted like, I guess she died. I guess she, dropped the bucket at 39. I guess she dropped the bucket at 41. I guess she dropped the bucket at 38. They would have acted normally around those who would attend my funeral with no context. Like I said, a carcass. Speaking of carcasses of which that are sitting on the side of the road, unaccounted for and also uncollected by coroners, you are gonna get what? Encircling them, scavengers. You're gonna get hyenas, you're gonna get vultures, you're gonna get all different kinds of things that love to eat dead things. So if I tell you the number of men that have come into my space and basically tried to eat me like I am a dead thing on the side of the street, guys, I've dated in my life before. As a Christian, I've only been with 2 guys. Both of them lasted literally 5 seconds in my life because they were unbelieving. Even though they started out talking about Jesus, I wouldn't even consider them at all if I didn't believe they were Christian at first. And one of these men, he was tattering my chance. He was taking a chance. He was playing a lottery. He obviously was gonna bumper. I was employed at the time. I was able to just move on because I realized he was just a no-brainer, and I was okay on the other side. He did not harass me, abuse me, or treat me in such a violent way that I would be traumatized by him. He was, one of those, he was a loser that came into my life and left, like whatever. You don't break too much of a sweat or think too much about him. You're not traumatized. You don't have lofty opinions about how all man ain't jack because of him. He was a no-brainer, but he did not cause me any lasting sorrow because I was still okay working at the time that I dated him. I recently came out of a brief relationship, and it was only brief because this guy decided to ghost me. And this dude, guys, the most recent one, my goodness, the mistreatment, the abuse, the kind of thing that would cause you to be like, oh man ain't jack, the kind of thing that would cause a severe amount of post-traumatic stress, like trauma. Like if you come out of a relationship where you've been beaten up by a man, you were basically almost killed by a man, you were dragged through the mud, you were cheated on and given HIV by a man. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that would cause a woman PTSD lingering well into the future, where she would end up basically writing off all men. This man did that to me, and the reason why he treated me so horrendously, thank God he was far away. This man is in the US, guys. If this man was in South Africa, I'm pretty sure he would have come right here where I live. And because of the fact that I walked out and I got to a point in a conviction where I was like, no, I can't do this, he would have been like over my dead body and rocked up, killed me, and then turned the gun on himself. Only thing that is protecting me from this man is the fact that I am all the way in South Africa and he does not have the GPS coordinates of where I stay. I am only safe because it was a long distance. Because of the amount of spiritual attack he has slapped me with using sorcery. He has put death curses on me. He has concocted a witchcraft spell from what the Lord has shown me to take away my beauty, to bring some kind of fast aging on my face. He has hooked up witchcraft against my future marriage, so that I can never ever meet another man. Yeah, just horrible witchcraft, and I'm still very much under attack right now. If it wasn't for this man's current attack in my life, I would have just continued to clean the house during the podcast. But because I am so severely attacked by the devils that he has sent me, I have to keep busy. So I don't just sit still and listen to what these demons are trying to do. During a season of the operation of sorcery, you get that badly attacked, and the best thing out of it, the best way, is to be busy, routine, and be awake for as long as you possibly can, so that by the time you go to bed and sleep, you're out like a light. There is no room for you to be sitting idly by quietly with nothing going on. If you try to sleep and you have got insomnia, you will get wrenched by these devils out of sleep. And that is how my life has been. I have been doing 16, 17, 18-hour days where I only sleep for like 4 to 5 hours because of the fact that if I don't sleep when I am violently exhausted, I will be attacked, harassed by these entities while I'm still lying in bed trying to fall asleep. I basically need to like lights out like a log. And what power cuts mean for me is that sometimes I have to sit around just staring into air. So I either speak into my phone doing a voiceover, or I come in and do this video. I would not have done a video today because I'm so backlogged that I just want to get my work out before I do new batches of work. But I'm gonna be doing one because there's currently a power cut. If there's no power cut, I'm in front of my computer, I'm doing edits. I'm in front of my computer, I'm uploading content. I'm in front of my computer, I'm watching videos on YouTube. There is something else occupying my mind. I cannot just stand around. That is a level of spiritual abuse I am under right now. And the only reason why this man felt comfortable to do that to me is because he knew that I have no one, nothing, and that curses will likely agitate me a lot more, frazzle me a lot more, precisely because of the sorrow of my life. The abandonment. I am a carcass to this man on the side of the street that he wanted to consume some remaining flesh on it. And when the Lord opened up my eyes to what in the world under heaven he was like, whatever, nobody's gonna miss her anyway, even if she dies. This is not the first man to spiritually abuse me like this. I have been harassed in this exact same way over the past 8 to 10 years. Let's just say I've been in this situation for 8 years, by every man that has come into my space. I tried to count. There was that man, there was that guy, there was that guy, there was that guy, there was that guy. Oh, goodness. About 6 men in these 8 years that all came in, and because of not being able to get something from me, however, being able to observe my life conditions, basically turned murderer on me. I have been nearly killed. I've been death cursed by 3 men out of the 6 that I've counted. 3 of them have thrown death curses at me. Among the 3, 1 nearly raped me. The other 2 did it from a distance in afflicting me because of my rejection of them. And the other like 3 men just did things to me in a way that if their own friends and family members were to see them doing that to me, they would be disgusted. You know, the kinds of people that look normal on the surface, but then they've got low-key sociopathic tendencies. Yeah, these men went full throttle Ted Bundy on me, looking outwardly like they're normal guys, and then something in me triggered them and they became criminal. And their crimes, which were done to me physically alongside spiritually, were completely ignored when I reported them to my family. The crimes were ignored. The guy who nearly raped me, I told my mom. They accused me of flirting with him. They did nothing. They stood back. The one of the guys, what is this? Guys, like, I don't want to, like, there's just lots of, like, okay, based on these experiences and all these men, no, one of them was white. Make that 7. One of them was white, and he was my landlord. At the very beginning of my struggle, I still had an apartment, and this landlord came to find out I met with hardship and went from day to night, overnight, and he harassed me. He had, I don't know if he was into black women or if he fetishized them, but he had a sexual thing about him where I was concerned. And when I started to lament about issues in the house, he started to like just drag his feet and make suggestive statements on some, if you want me to come fix it, what's in it, like, yo guys. And I was like, but you're my landlord, this is your house, fix it. And I ended up moving out of that same property without him ever fixing any of the issues there. He only fixed them once I was out. And I couldn't do anything. You know why this landlord did this? Because he found out that my life has met with hardship. Because my mother sent him an email. I've had so much pervasiveness enter into my life. Like, they have treated me like I'm a child. They've spoken about me with each other almost as if I'm not a whole adult that can contract on her own behalf. Guys, my story, I don't want to be all over the show. These are the things that have happened to me. So as a result, I now have got this like generalistic view in me of black men. There was only one white man that did this to me, but what he did was not sufficient enough to turn me cold in my heart against white men, period. I just imagined he was one random pervert, right? But the number of black men who have done this to me have caused me to think that black men are like this. So I am basically going through counseling in Christ to tell me, to basically help me understand that, Karabo, it's not all of them. I have to, every single time I start to get angry, upset when I watch a video on YouTube where a black man has done what I imagine to be a typical black man thing. I have to brittle that inside me because I know it's not true. I know that my conditions are extreme. I know they're on the outliers of the normal distribution. I know that because of my life conditions, I have literally been like a Velcro strip drawing and attaching to itself opportunistic men, predators, pariahs, that in and of themselves are lone rangers and that pounce on lowly, weak women. They would not in and of themselves get taken seriously by the kind of woman that I am outside of the sorrow. And so taking that situation for granted, then just went in for the kill. They are a different breed. They lurk in corners. They're the kinds of men to thrive on video games all day long and do absolutely nothing else, right? They have got secret lives, double lives. They watch too much porn. They are basically perverts, and they are not the norm. They're actually the exception. Like I said, they're on the outliers of society. But I have endured nothing but these kinds of men for years. The kinds of men that I would have very easily sniffed from a mile away and told them get away from me. But because of my love thirst and my Christianity, that makes me basic. Love always protects. Love always holds no record of past wrongs. Love always trusts. And I also believe in the saving, redeeming power of Jesus. Christians are empaths. So I believe that anybody can change. Do you understand? And anybody can be healed by the power of the Holy Spirit. That combination of belief and my sorrow as well caused me to give a chance to people where red flags were basically flying around all over the show, like going off like explosions. It caused me to ignore that, but I quickly woke up out of my slumber, and it was in waking up out of my slumber that I then basically got near deathed by all these men. Near death, nearly killed by one of them, like almost handled me physically because he was at the property where they've been throwing me around a whole bunch of places where they've made me live, and the place where the one guy that nearly raped me, I ended up locking the house all the time, even though I was always encircled by kids. And there was a day when like outside of the house with the burglar proofing locked and everything, he was rattling it, shaking it hard on some open this door, trying to force me to open it so you can grab the kitchen knife and kill me. And he did this because he wanted his phone back from me, the phone of which he had borrowed me because I had my phone stolen and my mother refused to help me get a new one. I was unemployed and so I couldn't get my own phone, and this guy borrowed me a phone for a season. I wouldn't give him back because alongside him borrowing me a phone, there was a time when I loaned him $400 and I was broke, and his $400 that was money that my mother gave me, and he didn't want to pay that money back to me. So I was like, I will give you your phone back when you pay me my money back. And he didn't want to give me my money back, but he wanted to take the phone, so he used violence. He was trying to break down the burglar proofing to come in and take his phone by force, likely even hitting me. Thankfully, it held fort, and thankfully there were security guards in that complex that basically came and stopped him alongside one of his friends that were like, boy, you can't do this, you're gonna get arrested. Those are the kinds of attacks and abuses that I have endured. Following which that guy went and called me all different kinds of colorful language, the B word, the F word, the whatever word, and told everybody around, as many of people as could hear because he was loud, that I am a broke B word that is not going to get anywhere in life, and I want to steal his phone. I ultimately was able to get that transaction mediated by one of his friends who took the money from his own pocket and gave it to me on some, fine, I'll give you the $400, give me the phone, just to like simmer down the situation. I've been through stuff like that. I have never experienced that much violence from men. Before the situation, all the men, and I've only ever been with black men that I have had in my life, arguments, fights, altercations, disagreements, never resulted in anything that ever came out of them that made me believe that I could be in danger. I have argued with my boyfriend without thinking that this could land in me being slapped, me being killed, me being pushed down the stairs. I have never had a falling out with any black man in my life before this season where I thought that I could actually be in physical danger. I only met these kinds of fools when I was put in this squalor. These life conditions that I have caused me to meet sociopaths, psychopaths, men that should essentially be in prison, but that are nonetheless walking around in society because they look normal, men who likely have a history of beating up women, gangsters, I don't know what they were, okay, but they reared their ugly heads. They looked outwardly like they were cool. They were not walking around looking like overt criminals, kadipuza facey and scars on their faces. They look like the regular Joe on the street that has a 9-to-5 orata kick and boboza le pinstripe suit go officing. Yeah, sorry for my language, likes wearing sharp shoes, shiny shoes, and a fitted suit in the office. Yeah, no, they look like that, except there's a violence in them, much like Harley from from the movie Temptation. Yeah, a guy that is like a whole entrepreneur. He's a corporate dude. He looks decent, but he can hit a woman. He can beat a woman. He's got a dark side. Yeah, guys like those. Absolute murderers and thieves. And I have been encircled by nothing but them for 8 years. And so for those reasons, I've got a tarnished, warped view of black men. Where before, I never have ever endured this kind of violence. Guys, I have been, back in the day when I was fornicating, I have been in bed literally teasing guys, okay? And then when they get to a certain point, I'd tell them, no, I don't want to have sex. And the guys would be like, my goodness, you're such a tease. Never did they, since I was already in their bed, decide to rape me anyway. I have taken so many risks with black men. That's how much I trusted them. And not once did I ever get raped, despite me, like I said, teasing them. Never have I ever been slapped, even though sometimes I could be feisty. Never have I ever experienced anything of that nature until I got put in a lowly position. Therefore, men, women, it makes such a huge difference in the lives of your daughters when you are there for them. It makes such, like South Africa, there's like a bad problem with gender-based violence here. I bet you right now the problem would likely dissipate if all the women that have been killed by men, all the women that have been raped, massacred, beaten by men, put in hospital, put in wheelchairs by men, if they had serving friends and family around them, men and women alike, the stats would significantly decline. But I am a woman living in South Africa right now, where we've got the highest, apparently it is the worst country, South Africa, to live in as a woman, right? The gender-based violence in this nation is through the roof. It's skyrocketing. And I now can understand, I can account for the death of Tshekgofatso Pule, I can account for the death of Karabo Mokoena, the death of Uyinene Mrechana, I can account for the death of Naledi Pangindawo, all these women that keep on dropping like flies at the hands of violent men. I can guarantee you that likely why it is that these women ended up dead, especially the ones that were killed by boyfriends, Francis Rasuche, probably did not have sufficient support from moms, dads, uncles, aunties, friends. Did not have their back enough. Envy, guys, jealousy against women, like your friends that envy you to a point of just watching you be. Literally allow you to date men they can see are rubbish from a mile away. They allow you, they don't give you right counsel, they don't encircle you with protection. Another thing about these men is, I mean, dark things lurk in the night, guys, and dark things like to do things in the dark, behind veils, behind smoke screens of opaque smoke screens that veil their thing that they are naturally. So the more transparently protected a woman is by a father figure, a mother figure, a father, a sister figure, or sister for real, the more there are eyes basically on a woman, the more people are looking at the interests of Karabo, whether they are friends, family, brother, sister, uncle, whoever, the more she's being looked at with care and concern, the more these types of lurking in the wild, pouncing, beastly men will stay away. I like to use the analogy of like a child playing in the garden at their home, or on the street, not on the street, but in the park, really, while mom or dad or nanny are watching them on the playground, while your eyes are on this child as they are going down the swing. No matter how many lurking monsters might be around, they are not going to very easily just pounce on that kid and run off. They are going to wait for you to be distracted. They are going to wait for you to go down and grab your coffee. They're going to wait for you to basically say to the woman sitting next door to you, can you please look at my kid? I want to go use the bathroom. They are going to wait for a moment of compromise in your, very focused, hawky, looking at the situation, such circumstance, and they are then going to go in for the kill at a moment of your weakness, or a moment of your disregard or your negligence for that season. Yeah. So a woman is similar indeed to that child on the school playground. You don't have to have this nanny literally standing right next to you on the swing as you go down. They can be a good 3 or 4 or 5 meters away, sitting on a park bench just watching you play, and these guys will stay away. You don't have to be in the immediate environment, meaning that even spending time alone with these abusive men, going on dates with them, can still get you protected, saved, insofar as you have sufficient protection in your life. They tend to be careful, wonder who knows about them. They are careful of the opinion of society around them. They don't want to get embarrassed. A lot of them, I get really lurk behind smoke screen. They hide behind the veil of normalness. They have a normal look outwardly. They don't look like bandits. Only think about Ted Bundy. Just think about Ted Bundy. Moses Sithole, that serial killer wako Nazareth, he had a wife and kids and everything in a community that trusted him. They tend to look normal. So the more a woman is looked at by everyone around, the more he can be identified, the more he can be discovered, the more people can be like, I saw her with this guy, the less likely this man is going to go and grab a knife and stab. The less likely. So if a guy has even in the slightest some kind of belief that he can get away with murder, he's going to go in for the kill. And the thing that makes them believe they can get away with murder is the belief that this woman is abandoned, isolated, and that nobody saw them do it. Nobody suspected them. And you know when these guys get to find this out? When they look at interactions between you and your best friend, interactions between you and your sister, interactions between you and your mom, interactions between you and your dad, your uncles, the men in your life and the women. They look at those interactions, and if they at all pick up apathy from uncle, apathy from mom, or a nonchalant, blasé, or jealous attitude from best friend, they are going to imagine you don't care enough about them to even notice that he's a psychopath. But sadly, enough to warn this woman against this man. Sadly, however, these women, and men, especially women, okay, in the lives of women, they tend to know when you're with a wicked guy. But jealousy will cause a best friend to not tell her girl that, hey girl, but this dude has a criminal streak. He had a girlfriend that he used to slap silly 2 years ago, or he's HIV positive and he's spreading it, or you get my point. Like, I have a female family member that contracted HIV after being introduced to an HIV positive man that was actively spreading it, and she knew when she was introduced to this man by one of her closest friends, and this closest friend knew that this guy was not only sick but actively spreading it. It's over now. She's got the virus and she has got to continue taking medication for the rest of her life. Women are that jealous of other women. Enough for them to not let you know when you are dating a guy that beat up his ex-wife or his ex-girlfriend until she got to hospital. They will not tell you despite having that information. So if at all a guy comes into your life that is, for instance, busy spreading HIV, and he knows your cousin, and your cousin knows his history, but your cousin doesn't tell you, what does this guy think? This guy thinks her cousin knows that I'm sick and I'm spreading it, but she did not even tell her own cousin. That's when they feel they can just kill. They imagine if she dies, nobody's gonna miss her. If she gets hurt, no one is gonna comfort her. And on top of that, nobody is going to either suspect I did it because nobody was even like careful to observe this enough to know that it was me, or they're not gonna report it because they don't care about her. Except they're mistaken about the fact that no one cares about her. It's just that people, when they're busy walking in their jealousy, are happy to watch a woman get taken to the slaughter by a bad man because they think it's not going to land or result in slaughter. They don't think it's going to end up in murder. They don't think that they're going to end up having to bury their daughter or their best friend or their former colleague. They don't think it's going to end up in RIP until the woman is dead. And the best friend is sitting in a corner knowing what she did. Silly little hypocrite coming to the funeral, groveling, crying like a dog. Until my best friend Yam is gone. Except, girl, you not only watched your girl enter into a relationship with a sociopath known, you also stood back when this guy increasingly became violent. Which is why I have got such a big fat problem against the hashtag and my next hashtag men are trash thing that is doing its rounds on social media. Every time after a person, a woman dies from gender-based violence in this country, it's like women, especially women, could have done a lot more to prevent this woman's death by simply being there for her, covering her as a shield. But because of jealousy, they stood back and they watched her date literally an ominous little freak that should not have been in her life. And they keep on giving her advice. Guys, you know, my ex-boyfriend who has slapped the living daylights out of me with witchcraft. He was a bad man. He was ominous from the get-go. And I even told my cousin when I first started dating him that something about him feels criminal. I'm not sure. After I broke up with this guy that used to steal money from me, my mother was like, but that's my kwenyane, that's basically groom. Despite me telling her, but this man has stolen money from me, my cousin tried to negotiate for me to get back together with him. And I was like, but you know what the guy did to me? Basically, even after I gave him information, so I reached my own conviction as to the fact that this guy needs to go. Like he makes no sense at all. And I told my closest female colleagues, not colleagues, sorry, but people that I know, closest female company, right, that I had. I told them, and they just were like, ah, but no man, come on, but he's not that bad. And I'm like, are you serious? They so desperately, these women, want to marry each other off to such bad men so they don't have to compete for husbands, so that she can have a better husband or a better experience with children than you. She's prepared to let you marry a guy that might one day, like, literally drive a live round into your skull, killing you. They're prepared to let their best friends end up married to psychopaths who are obviously red flaggy in the run up to the marriage, and they will say nothing. Guys, you know, friends' opinions are they are golden, eh? They are golden. When you don't know what to do, when you're not sure about yourself on a situation, guys, you know, but this dude, I'm not really, there's something about him. If your girl is like, oh, but he's so great. Oh, look at his stats. Look at his Insta profile. Oh, look at his job. Girl, you're not going to let go of a high value man. He's got money. This dude could be ominous like no man's business, but the opinion of your girl will be like, he's approved. Plus, people love to sit next to people that are approved, that society looks highly upon as great in the life of in your life, because it also increases your own clout. So if all of your friends approve of this guy that has got these below the belt comments, he's constantly passive aggressive, no matter what your experiences are with him, you will second guess them because of the advice you're getting from your immediate circle. So women stay with bad men even though they know deep down they have to leave. Opinions matter, company matters, and these guys are smarter than you think. They're observant and they look at your environment and based on it act. So many of these ladies that get murdered end up dead, I believe, frankly, because of the fact that these guys took for granted that they could kill these ladies and get away with it. They properly believed that they could get away with it. Oh goodness, I'm being interrupted, guys. I gotta go. What? Why? Do you need something?
No, I got some of it and none.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, I just was like, whatever. I did ask for the car keys though. Yeah, so so these guys know, like, they basically observe your environment and then imagine that they can do a strange thing. So I am presently being attacked, harassed, abused, lambasted by a man at present because he imagines nobody's gonna miss me. Is he right? No, he's not. These women would only cry, moan, grovel, snot and trana basically coming out of their noses and eyes at my funeral. I would be a heavy burden that had been neglected and abandoned, and nothing but jealousy, nothing but envy would have inspired these ladies to leave me like that. My family members, do they love me? Biblically, no. Biblically, no. Because love is patient, it's kind, it serves, it is not self-seeking, it holds no record of past wrongs, it always trusts, it always protects. So biblically, no, they don't love me. But emotionally, they would probably be devastated if I died. Especially if I decided to commit suicide because this guy's death curse has worked. So these are people that are hoping that they are not going to bear ramifications of their actions that are to the very nth degree. They hope that the worst case scenario doesn't happen. They walk in their envy so exorbitantly that all they sit on is finger crossing hope that she's not going to kill herself because I ignored her. They just hope that she's not going to get killed by her boyfriend because I didn't warn her he's a freak. If I did not have Jesus Christ, if I did not have angels of God bearing me up that I might not strike my foot against a stone, if I did not have the promise of 1,000 falling on my left and 10,000 on my right, and therefore it will not come near me, if I did not have power to trample on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, if I did not have power to overcome the gates of Hades that shall never prevail against the church, if I was the kind of person that because I'm not indwelt by the Holy Spirit and so therefore every weapon formed against me can prosper, if I could not refute every argument and every lofty pretension that exalts itself above the Most High and hold into captivity every thought to the obedience of Jesus Christ, if I had no Holy Spirit, if I did not have supernatural protection in this season, if I did not gain the wisdom of the Lord to listen to Him and none other but Him, if I did not fear Christ enough to know that I cannot commit suicide, if I did not have basically Jesus Christ, I would be dead and I would be mourned severely. I would have shattered many a heart from simply hanging on a noose, swinging like a pendulum on it because I killed myself finally due to neglect, abandonment, harassment, and disregard. I would have either killed myself or been killed by a man because I lingered in a situation too long for me to survive it. I would have eventually gotten murdered. Like this guy, for instance, in the US, he would have either come to me or organized for me to go to him. And because he would have now had me in his clutch, the smallest little, if he could kill me spiritually from so far, I understand that this is a man that would not that would not hesitate to drive a knife into me physically when he sees me if we had an altercation. He had a short fuse, but I would have ignored all those red flags, and in ignoring all of those red flags would have found myself hooking up, connecting in the physical world with a man that would have ended up taking my life. This guy, his short fuse was apparent from the very get-go. Do you understand? But I wanted to ignore it. How did God deliver me from that situation? Believe it or not, it wasn't even me. It wasn't me. I did not suddenly reach conviction that this needs to stop. I knew the Holy Spirit kept on spurring in my heart. Karabo, get out, red flags, get out, red flags. An ambulance, wee. Basically, those ambulances I was crying need to come my way came, but it was spiritual. Basically, that buoyant balloon at the bottom, that inflatable sort of kind of jumping castle at the bottom that catches my body, that happened spiritually. The rope that was thrown me that I might catch it so I don't land with the thud at the bottom, that was given me from the spirit realm. I was rescued from being a carcass, something that was consumed by vultures, supernaturally. All these guys that afflicted me in this way only ended up harassing me from a distance after God himself had shoved them. He made them so horrible that I ended up getting the one situation, for instance, the guy at the phone the one that was rattling the burglar proofing, he started out as a friend and he was in my immediate environment. How I found out that he was a dangerous man was because the phone that he gave me, that he had borrowed me, lent me. Oh my goodness. I went through it. I imagine that whatever content is in there, I mean, he's comfortable to share it with me, right? Because why give it to me? He had erased indeed everything in his phone except voice recordings. There was this archive of voice recordings in the phone that I found myself in. And I clicked on them, and the first few of them were just him talking with his boys, him recording himself, rapping into the phone, stupid stuff. And then I encountered one where he had recorded himself. It was a voice though. So it wasn't an audio visual, but just an audio. He had recorded himself verbally and physically abusing his screaming baby mama. You could hear her being thrown against things and like plates breaking, her hitting cupboards, and her being like, but I wanna, this woman was basically not only begging for him to stop, but she was begging for him to rather love her. She was begging for him to stop hitting her and rather love her. So basically she was one of those victims of abuse that are groveling at the feet of their abuser. She was trauma bonded to him. She didn't want him to leave, but he was busy beating her up.